Hi everybody. Today what I want to talk about is one of my son's delusions that led him to go missing. My son is now 28 years old. He has schizoaffective disorder, which is a combination of schizophrenia with a mood disorder, so with bipolar characteristics. Before we get started on the story, and the reason I'm actually sharing these things with you is because you probably been through some similar things. If you're dealing with somebody that's mentally ill that has schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, or maybe even is bipolar. One of the terms I want to get out of the way is what an ACT team is. I'm going to read the definition for you. It's an assertive community treatment team. It consists of a community-based group of medical, behavioral health, and rehabilitation professionals who use a team approach to meet the needs of an individual with severe and persistent mental illness. So at this point in time, he was being followed by the Grady ACT team here in Atlanta. He was receiving visits from them. He was helped to get housing by them, and it was designated housing specifically for the mentally ill, but he was living by himself, and they were supposed to check on him 3 times a week. And they were also counseling him, giving his medication, following him mentally. Now, even though he was having the treatment with the ACT team, I would follow up every day. I would go out and see what was going on with him, and if I couldn't find him, I would go looking for him. So, they'd given him Depakote, and it wasn't working, and he knew it wasn't working, so he came off his medication. And his delusion and the voices in his head told him that he needed not to talk to his family anymore, and he needed to walk to California from Atlanta. Then his family would go to heaven. So he proceeded to walk in the wintertime, freezing cold, without adequate clothing, from Atlanta with the intention of getting to California, but in actual fact he got to a place called Carrollton. So he walked for 2 days through the nighttime, walked about 60 miles, and ended up at a gas station. He was found at a gas station by the police, singing and rapping, and he was cold. They asked him to leave. He didn't know where to go, so he said he didn't want to leave, so they trespassed him and threw him in jail. Now, in the meantime, I can't find him. So I try to file a missing persons report. And the response for the missing persons report is, well, he's an adult, so, it has to be, at least 48 hours. And even then, he can just, even though he has mental illness, he can decide to leave if he wants. We don't have to chase after him because he is an adult, and if he wants to leave, he can leave. So no help there with missing persons. I called homicide to see if they would help me. No, there was nothing they could do. So I tried the morgues, and the reason why I tried the morgues is because with the HIPAA laws, I can't get any information from the hospitals. They're not going to tell me if he's there or he's not there. So I tried all the nearby morgues and asked if there was a John Doe, and fortunately there wasn't, but the morgues at this point had become quite familiar with me because every time he went missing, I did this routine of trying the police, then trying the morgue, and then what I did, because I can't try the hospital, or any hospital for that matter, he'd taken me off as HIPAA forms during one of his manic episodes because he didn't believe I was helpful to him. At this point, my only resource is the ACT team. I know at least they could check and see if Grady Hospital has him, and they did that for me, and he wasn't there. So here I am. 6 days go by. I'm searching for him myself in abandoned buildings, skate parks, places that he might normally frequent. His apartment, he didn't come home. The ACT team is also concerned, but they, also checked with the homeless population, and nobody had seen him. So eventually, I got a phone call from Carrollton County Jail, and that was fabulous because he's alive, yes. But he'd been thrown in the jail, he'd been given no medication, he'd been up for now about 8 days, very little sleep, and he said the food was terrible, that's why he didn't eat. But I also know when he's in this condition, he has trouble eating, even getting anything down, even fluid. So, talking to the jail staff, they agreed to release him to the ACT team. So, I teamed up with the ACT team, and his counselor, Evelyn, proceeded out there. And she was coming from her house, I'm coming from mine, so I'm about half an hour behind her. She gets to the jail, they release him to her with the intention of him going back with her to Grady Hospital and getting hospitalized and getting on medication and getting well. Well, Evelyn called me right before she was about to pick him up, and I could tell she personally was stressed, agitated, not really in a calm mood. So I wasn't surprised when she picked him up, and I get a phone call immediately. I can't deal with him. He's acting up. I don't know what to do. In my mind, I'm thinking, aren't you trained to deal with this? But okay. I said, just be calm. Wait till I get there. I can't. He's threatening to jump out of the car as we're moving. Well, hey, that's what he does when he's off medication. So I suggested that she pull over and just let him do his thing, talk calmly to him, and he proceeded to jump out of the car and run off. So my suggestion was, I'm about 20 minutes away. I didn't know where I was going, but keep an eye on him and call 911. So she put in the phone call to 911, and I eventually get there. He sees my car. He's pissed off at this point, but he's also extremely manic, not medicated, and he starts throwing stuff at my car. So I'm kind of circling the area to keep an eye on him. Evelyn's sitting just down the block to keep an eye on him. Eventually we get all the emergency service. So we have ambulance, fire truck, and police. They're able to talk to him and calm him down. We're able to tell them what the situation was, that he's just been picked up from jail, because their solution was to throw him back in jail, which was completely unhelpful. But they did agree if he would get in my car with me, we could proceed over to Grady Hospital. So I got him in my car, and he was surprisingly calm to say that he was in the condition he was, not medicated, no sleep, no food. But at this point, Evelyn didn't even really want to take him to the hospital. She suggested that I take him home and they would deal with it later. So I took him home, and there really wasn't much else I could do at that point because he didn't want me there. I looked for the medication that he needed. I gave him what we had, which wasn't working, and made sure that he had food. And that's really all I could do at that point. I was extremely uneasy, other than keep following up with the ACT team and getting them out there and getting them to at least VPN in on their computer to talk to their PA on medication. But really at this point, it was still going very south. I was really, really frustrated at this point because there wasn't really anything else I could do. I was trying everything, and I was reaching out to all the resources at my fingertips, and they just weren't working. But my point in doing these videos is don't give up. I have my son with me now. He's doing very well. we are going to go through ups and downs because medication does stop working, but he's starting to recognize that. So what is going to help you with dealing with your loved one is to make sure that you're working with their doctors, or if they have an ACT team, you're working with their ACT team. You are making sure that they're sleeping, that they're eating, and that you give them lots and lots of love. I mean, I guess one thing I haven't really brought up, there is a tendency for people with these disorders / disabilities, they go towards drugs. We know that. So if they're on drugs, that really isn't going to help, because it's going to interact with the medication, or it's going to take kind of place of their medication, because they're going there to feel better. So you're not alone. Give them lots of love. Keep on with the good fight and keep advocating for them. Have a great day.